Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in here. This is Light on the Trail. Hope you're having a wonderful day. On this episode, we're going to be talking about a injury scare I had and fasting. Here we go. All right, so I just pulled up to a favorite trailhead of mine, one that's pretty close to my house, so I go here pretty often. But this is the first run for me in about 10 days. I had a little bit of an injury scare and was just feeling it out, seeing what was going on, saw my doctor, and then she said it was nothing to worry about. I thought I had something that was a Baker's cyst, which, you do what you're supposed to do when you think you have an injury, and you go online and you immediately find out it's all the worst things and all that wonderful garbage. So had it determined it was either a Baker's cyst or a DVT, essentially like a blood clot and just all the worst things. So, but a Baker's cyst is not that bad. It's a buildup of fluid around the knee from my due diligence research. But it is not that. It's not a blood clot. Thank the Lord. It was essentially a varicose vein. I have, I think, a pile up of just a lot of running. That had a little bulge come out from behind my knee, and I was kind of worried about that. And like, this hasn't been there before, but it was just from some little too much strenuous activity, essentially, and then partly, possibly because of a pretty bad injury I had a few months ago on that same leg. I almost broke my shin. So there's been nerve damage and essentially it's just some blood pooling that's been moving around or something in this vein, and it's okay. Something else special about this day. One, I didn't know that it is Pentecost Sunday, so it's like the 7th Sunday after Easter. That's really neat. But it also, more for the neatness of that, is that this is my third day and last day of a fast. And not just a fast, this is my first fast I've ever done. And it's been something I've been kicking around a lot and have wanted to do and think about it. And then, this comes up. Or I ran my first marathon about a month ago. And I was thinking about it before then. I was like, no, I got to have the food and the calories for my body because I'm going through so much training and doing this and that. And just excuses and reasons. And that's essentially why we fast, is to sacrifice something, obviously food and comfortability, just to show, Jesus, hey man, thank you so much for what you did. I can do this. The least I can do is fast and, hunger for your word and praise you and pray and ask you for all sorts of things. So I did that. And this is Memorial Day weekend. So there is big family barbecue, and I didn't get to eat anything. But I will say I had a nice, a peace knowing that I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat anything. So I enjoyed more feeding my family and taking care of others and also staying busy. I've been very productive. One, I think, to keep my mind off of food. But I haven't really been that hungry. I've never been holding my stomach and rumbles and man, I'm so hungry. It's been a really neat experience and a good kind of spiritual journey for me. Prayed for many things and it's been really neat. But so here we are. Going to go out. The plan is to do a few miles, maybe 3 or 4 or so. The doctor said to take it easy, and I want to feel it out anyway and see how the leg's going to feel. 3 days without any food, not calories. I have had some calories. The first 2 days I just had coffee and a little Tailwind, so some calories in that and electrolytes. But today I've had only water. But it's been really neat. So I think it's a cool kind of pileup of things going on. So we're about to get out here, do a few miles. I'm just recording here in my truck. And then after that, we'll come back and see how the leg feels. But I'm so excited to get out here running, and the weather's awesome. I'm about to put on some sunscreen, sunglasses, and a hat, and get out here and hit some dirt. So we'll see how it goes. And we're back in the studio. All right, it's been a few days now since I've ran. I actually had a recording right after that, but I wanted to give it some more time, a little bit more reflection, and the recording wasn't all that
great anyway. But before I get into that, please don't forget to subscribe either way. Yes. And and leave a comment, all that good stuff on whatever your platform or situation you're listening through it. I do appreciate it. And feel free to email us here at fullsteamaudio@outlook.com for any questions or episode ideas. That would be super helpful. And it may be something I've never even thought of, but getting into it. So, all right, we're going out for the run. It's a 5K. It was like just over 3 miles out on the trail. And I was so excited to finally get out there and do it and just get it done again and just kind of monitor the knee. And I'm running, keeping it light, watching the heart rate and trying to keep it easy, which is so difficult to do. More so when you are excited. And I kind of struggle with trying to keep it in that zone 2 heart rate anyway. But easy, nice and easy and steady and just cruise and kept going. It helps a lot that I knew the area since I've ran there quite often, which is something I would recommend. If you're in any way coming out of injury, of course, take it easy, be safe, be careful, and hopefully in a place that you've ran before so you don't, you can kind of zone out somewhat. You don't have to zone out. Obviously, you don't want to miss anything or get yourself hurt is what I'm getting at. You don't want to be in a new place and not know what's around the corner. And, oh my goodness, I was not ready to hike up this or trip down this rock and scramble and all these bad things. But it was okay. It went well. I got it all done. Everything felt fine. Kind of walked a little bit after that to kind of cool down and still kind of check how all the meters are doing, how am I feeling, and it was good. It was okay, and it still is. I will say that night though, I slept like just hammered turd. It was bad. I finally fell asleep, and when I did, I woke up every 45 minutes. My toes started to cramp before as the evening went on. And then when I got in bed and one of the times I woke up, my calf actually cramped a little bit and I had to kind of stop and be still and not let it lock up all the way. Cause I was just really dehydrated. But it wasn't even nowhere close for me to getting out of bed yet. I also was going to get up early anyway, to start a smoker, to put some ribs on, so that I could also eat, but I was also given these ribs that I needed to cook. And it was that Monday at Memorial Day. So, I got that done. But other than the sleep really sucking, although I was really tired, it was nice the first thing I did was wake up and I chugged like a really strong, I don't know how many ounces it was, but amount of Tailwind for like 2 scoops and maybe like 10 ounces and just downed it. And I finally got some food and then took like a salt tab later too, just kind of recoup everything. But it was nice. I definitely enjoyed it. It hasn't gotten worse. It's still that kind of just a lump, and I think it's even somewhat going away. I am definitely wearing compression. I wore it on that little trail run. All the ones I do now until this thing totally goes away, or until maybe my doctor says not to, or I feel safe. I've got some compression sleeves. I'll put them on. So I've just had those on my calf, or maybe a little higher around my knee in that area that was hurt. But yeah, blessed that it didn't get worse, that I can still run. It wasn't a terrible injury. It was really barely an injury. It's my first run into this whole year actually with somewhat of an injury when I was getting back into running this year. And this might be a whole nother separate episode if I could talk to somebody else about it. I was like, I'm gonna get back into running. Let's run for an hour on a treadmill. Yeah, and just keep it easy. And it wasn't easy, and it was on a treadmill, and I hadn't ran serious in a long time. And that was the first symptoms and time I kind of experienced some IT pain. And I was like, oh no, I was so ready to start running again. And now I'm hurting. It being in January, it did ice and the weather got really bad. And I actually couldn't even really go outside and run or get around anywhere. So it kind of made me take it easy and recover in a forced way. But yes, so far so good. Rocking and rolling, ready to be running. There's a race I want to sign up for in a couple months, and it's a night race. I never done a night race before, It's for a 54K, I believe. It comes out to be about 33 miles trail run. Starts at 7 o'clock at night, and then you have till 7 in the morning to finish it, which should be fine. The only gauge I really have to gauge that with was the marathon that I ran, which was on a trail race, and it took me almost right at 5 hours. Had a couple really big hills in it and all that, but it should be okay. But it's something I will get into in a little bit from scripture I was reading during my fast. But it sounds, the most attractive part and appealing part of it, which I think a lot of runners in general have, is that it sounds hard, right? So you want to push yourself. Right? I mean, it's when people talk like, wow, you run for fun, what a weirdo, huh? But it's really that simple. You want to push yourself, people growing in all kind of aspects is so awesome. I love it when people are doing things to better themselves, to grow, to help others, or just pure humanity, like happiness. Oh man, I love it. One of the things that happened out on the trail was keeping optimistic and conscious of how I'm feeling. And I usually always pray too when I'm running out there, because it's just, I'm kind of incorporating my Christianity with running, being outside and blessed in that, being around all the beautiful nature. But I was running down the trail, and out of one of these little tree bush that I ran by, like 15 butterflies came out. And these butterflies just out of nowhere, like startled me. This grown man running through the woods that I was kind of flinching and throwing my hands up, and these butterflies were all around me and came through, and I was like, oh, whoa, what? It was awesome. It was beautiful. And I took that moment to just be happy, take it in. Here we are. You got to see that, maybe that was just meant for you to be here. And it's just bugs. It was bugs flying around. Or you take it as what you need to take it as. That was beautiful. That's going to make me happier. That's going to make me feel so empowered right now. And just, this is where I need to be. And that's amazing. Back to what I was mentioning before, with the scripture I read. So through fasting, something I was ready to do was read a book, of course, one of the books in the Bible. So I picked Matthew and was reading Matthew, and I couldn't tell you if I've even read through that all the way before. I've had a bad habit of just kind of picking up the Bible and picking places to read, not taking notes like I should to really help retain that knowledge. But reading through Matthew, a couple things that I did pick up, and one specifically about fasting, which is perfect, obviously, was this. So Matthew 16, sorry. And I'll just read it out. This is through, I know on my phone, it's the King James. I think this is the New Interpreted Version. Let me see here. This is just a little easier to read, but I just have both. So it says, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face. In the King James Version, it says, be anointed, or anoint your head and wash your face. So that this will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father, who is unseen, and your Father who sees what you've done in secret. So, right, don't gloat or show that you're having a hard time because you're fasting. Here I am on a podcast telling you about it. It's with context of running, and it was just very special to me, and how all the days and things kind of lined up. But put oil on your head to anoint your head when you're fasting. And I never heard that, and I found myself reading this, and again in the King James Version, it says to anoint your head. But right here on it's verse 17. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face. Okay, will do, right? Because it is a special thing. It's a serious moment. Hey, Lord, I'm doing this for you, to get closer to you. Thank you so much. At least I can do, right? With that, so right on the other side of the page here, but starting in Matthew 7:13, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. I thought that was awesome. It goes hand with a book I've been reading by Steve Magnus. Oh my goodness. Do Hard Things. Goodness. Do Hard Things. An awesome book. But I read this and take this as travel, take the path less traveled. Do hard things. There's more reward in harder things for you to learn, for yourself to gain. And you go through the narrow gate, the narrow pass, versus the easy way out, right? This leads to destruction. My goodness. But those were great. I really, those just kind of resonated with me right now. I just have that lens to read that. That was illuminated for me in that passage. But those are ones that have been really special for me. So there we go. A really neat experience. Thank y'all so much for following along through this. If you have any injuries, take it slow and easy. Ask your doctors about it. Try to stay away from the internet so you don't get scared, but we all do that. We all know it helps if you have someone who's a bit of a nurse or anything. But be safe, be cool. Don't forget to pray. Be happy and blessed if you're there, guys. Catch us on the next episode. This is Light on the Trail.